Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're stepping in as your strategic advisors to completely dismantle a massive illusion, the illusion of wealth. We're going to build a rock-solid mathematical framework for true financial sovereignty. If you're a founder or a driven professional who literally feels like you're just running on an endless treadmill, well, this explainer is built specifically for you. Let's get right into it.
Society absolutely loves to sell you this lie that freedom is this vague, magical state, right? Like it's some lottery win reserved only for the elite. But honestly, that's just a trap to keep you stuck in the gears of the machine. The reality? Freedom isn't a vague feeling. It's a specific math problem. Period. If you don't know your exact number, you aren't really an entrepreneur on a mission. You're just kind of a busy person with a hope.
Section 1. Paying the ego tax, the cost of undefined ambition. Let's diagnose the systemic business problem that is currently burning you out.
So what exactly is the ego tax? Basically, it's the absolute exhaustion of chasing an infinite amount of money, but without a defined finish line. You know the feeling. You're paying this tax every single day you work for a boss or for a business that basically owns all your time, simply because you haven't defined what enough actually looks like. You end up running away from poverty rather than running toward a concrete target. It's an infinite game, and it literally has no finish line.
Which brings us to a pretty uncomfortable question. What is the exact price of your exit? I ask founders this all the time. How much money do you actually need to be quote-unquote rich? And you know what? Almost no one has an answer. They just freeze. They don't know the price of their exit, and that is exactly why they stay stuck, just drifting in the machine.
Moving on to Section 2, the moving goalpost failure, a technical flaw in identity architecture. It's time to reframe your burnout, not as some twisted badge of ambition, but as a technical failure in your identity architecture.
$1 million. It's that classic, round, super impressive number we all hear about. The author of our source material actually spent years chasing more, convinced that an arbitrary, ego-driven target just like this $1 million was the ultimate finish line. But then, they actually sat down and did the math, and the realization was a total game changer. Their real expenses were far, far lower than these ego-driven targets. The very second they had a concrete number, poof, the anxiety vanished. So here is the absolutely crucial takeaway. Stop moving the post. Most people never hit their goals because the goalpost magically shifts every single time they get close, which just creates this endless, exhausting cycle of anxiety. You've got to lock that goalpost in place. You have to define the math.
Section 3. Math over mood, escaping the illusion of more. It is time to replace emotional guessing with clinical, calculated targets.
Now, to actually escape the rat race, we're going to need a massive paradigm shift. The mood is basically the consumer mindset. It treats freedom like this vague lottery win where you're just waiting around for a lightning strike that, let's face it, never comes. The math, on the other hand, is the sovereign mindset. In this space, freedom is recognized for what it is, a boring spreadsheet. It's literally just the mathematical moment your passive income exceeds your lifestyle costs. That is the whole shebang. We have to drop the mood and lock into the math.
Section 4. The Freedom Number Protocol, calculating your sovereignty. So how do we actually make that leap and calculate this thing?
Well, to achieve true financial sovereignty, we implement a super simple 3-step process. Step 1. Calculate your survival baseline. Now, we aren't talking bare-bones survival here. This is the real cost of your mortgage, your food, your healthcare, and importantly, your peace of mind. Step 2. Add a 20% Thrive buffer right on top of that baseline. Step 3. Define that final target. Your freedom number is exactly that, the specific monthly cash flow required to live your ideal life entirely without working.
So your target becomes an 80-20 split between your survival baseline and your Thrive buffer. And what's really fascinating here is the psychological impact of seeing this exact distribution. Once you define this specific number, your brain literally stops scanning for threats. You stop running away from poverty and constantly asking, how do I get more? Instead, your brain flips a switch and starts looking for specific, targeted solutions to bridge this exact gap. It's a real game changer.
Section 5. Becoming a sovereign operator, executing the pivot. Facing this exact number is an absolute requirement, even if it feels a bit intimidating at first.
Now, why is it intimidating? Well, because facing the cold, hard math removes literally all your excuses for staying in a job or a grind that you secretly hate. But you know what? This realization is the ultimate transformation. You pivot away from being a busy person with a hope, exhausted, undefined goals, constantly running from poverty, and you transform into a sovereign operator with a target. You finally have a calculated exit and a sovereign identity built on specific math.
Let's quickly summarize the architecture of this whole mindset shift. First, remember that freedom is a boring spreadsheet, not some magical lottery win. Second, you've got to stop chasing a vague idea of rich and start hitting your specific number. Third, realize that a moving goalpost is not ambition. It's a technical failure in your identity. And finally, a defined target is absolutely the only way you will ever escape the rat race. Simply put, you cannot possibly hit a target you haven't drawn yet.
So, it's time to draw that target. Stop guessing about your future. Stop running. Your freedom has a very specific price tag, and you need to find out exactly what it is. Grab a calculator today, step into the version of yourself that actually owns their schedule, and adopt the Freedom Number Protocol by checking out 365freedom.online.
I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to chew on before we wrap up. If you finally sat down, did the math today, and you saw your actual freedom number, would you realize how incredibly close you already are? And if you did, what excuse would you possibly have left to keep paying the ego tax? Calculate it, face it, build for it. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.